You know, the NHL is always kind of a strange league to me. I never really know what to take of this league because you have some players that are lesser players, like, I don't know, Joel Edmondson getting insane contracts. And you sit here and you think, well, how did that player get that? How did that player get that contract? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then you see players that can hardly struggle to get a PTO. And, well, that player might not be perfect. I'm not saying Tyler Johnson, for example, is a perfect player. He isn't, obviously. But, is he really that bad to only be able to get a PTO? This is a player I wanted the Leafs to look at, and I would be okay with giving him a league min contract. I wouldn't, and maybe they still could get him, because remember, it's just a pro tryout contract. But he really wasn't that bad that last year at all. If you do go ahead and prorate his numbers, he was on pace for about a 37.38 points in that year. That's far and away perfectly fine for third-line production. He absolutely can play center. Yes, he is 34 years old. I understand that. Yes, he is a smaller player. But with teams desperately needing center, and again, I'll say this again, especially the Maple Leafs, why wouldn't you give a player like this a try? I just don't understand it. I think this is a smart move by the Boston Bruins, in my opinion. Now, who knows? It's just a pro tryout contract, so we don't really know if this player is ever going to, don the Bruins jersey. But I don't know. To me, the NHL is so weird, where players that I think should hardly even be able to get league minimum contracts are almost overvalued, and there's certain players that are undervalued. Now, throughout the past 10 to 12 years, things like this have gotten better. Where I remember way back in the day when analytics was first coming around, this was really bad, where you would see a player, you're like, man, how did that player not make, or we could say, oh, well, that player, he has a decent chance to make it. Like, why didn't this guy get a contract but this guy did? But you do still see this, where teams just make these really weird moves, and they just don't, make they're just not well run enough. It almost makes you roll your eyes. Now, Tyler Johnson is not a perfect player. He is aging and he has taken a decline. But if you can still score 35, 40 points and play center, you're absolutely still valuable for sure. At least on what? A 1-year deal? Why wouldn't you do that? Now, I suppose you say that he could not wanted to sign with the Leafs, but if you're going to a pro tryout contract, I don't understand why you wouldn't. But either way, Tyler Johnson in his heyday was a pretty good player. He was never like a solidified top line guy. However, in his heyday, he had a top about 72 points in 77 games or something like that. That's pretty good production. And he won 2 cups, so he knows what it's like to play in, high intensity situations. Why wouldn't you give a player like this a chance? So this is a good move by the Boston Bruins. I like what they're doing here. If you look at his analytics, he's still pretty decent. He's certainly a player with some value. Now, at this point in the season, you are going to be looking for what I call bargain bin players. There's no doubt about it. They're going to be bargain bin players. Every player is going to have a flaw. Whether you signed an Alex Nylander, whether you signed a Zadina, every player is like, yeah, but. You know what I mean? And not all those players are going to work out. In fact, most of them aren't. When you get a player like this far in his career, he's just on the edge no matter which way you cut it, only because they're aging, even if they can perform. Because at any time, players like this can just completely take a dive, and you really don't know exactly what you're going to get, if you understand what I mean. But hey, listen, I will tell you one thing. Every single year when it comes to the Boston Bruins, as a Leaf fan, I'm sitting here being like, nah, they're going to take a decline. And every single year, they're still a good team. So I will never doubt whatever moves that they are making. I will never completely doubt them because I've done it for enough years. Oh, Patrice Bergeron is gone. They're going to be bad now. Oh, Chara's gone. They're going to be bad now. And they still beat the Leafs in every first round series. So whatever they're doing, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with it. I will tell you that. I guess what you can probably see right now is my saltiness, because I did want the Leafs to give this player a chance. I always look at bargain bin options, guys that are around, guys that you can get on the cheap. And I guess to be fair though, the Leafs want to figure out their left wing position, but I would argue that their center position, and again, this if Tyler Johnson is still okay at center, I would argue that their center position is in much worse shape than their left wing, right? Like their center depth, I mean, they have David Kampf that's potentially probably going to be playing, third line minutes. You have John Tavares, who, I mean, he's aging. He's already not a very fast player. He cares, and he's pretty good. His analytics were actually pretty good last year. His visuals were pretty good, but I mean, again, at any point, players like that can fall off, and you never know what you're gonna get, right? So this is the thing, that he can play center, and I think that players like this are more valuable. And even if you look at Max Domi, I think that he is going to be better on the wing with Matthews. So, geez, I think that I just don't get it. I mean, he's a center. Yes, he's older. You can sign him to a reasonable contract. Like, why wouldn't you do this? I don't understand it. And again, I'm going to say this again. I know all of you might be saying, well, Pixel Plus, he doesn't have what he used to before, which is obviously true. I mean, he's 34 years old. But man, he has playoff pedigree too. I mean, the guy's played a decent amount of playoff games with Tampa. He won 2 cups. I mean, he's not a scrub. So that's my take. Listen, that's my take. I'm going to leave it there. It's just a PTO, just a quick video. If you like, comment, subscribe, I would really appreciate that. Thank you guys, and have a great day. Peace.